And good morning. It is Friday, which means Friday Grief Chat with the Jill and the Deb.
And the Deb.
The Deb, all the time.
Oh, why am I laughing? Because some of you might know this already, but I'm part of the Association for Applied and Therapeutic Humor, and Jill will be speaking. Did you join? You're actually
I'm a member.
So is Jill, and the annual conference virtual is going on this year
right now.
And it becomes a family that you go to these conferences and you just connect with everybody, because we've all been the weirdos using humor for many reasons
to do all the works.
And Jill speaking today, actually speaking right after this. So we're really right on time here. How was your week? Tell me something that's going on with you this week.
Oh, it's been super busy. My sister's here from Chicago, which is giving my mom some great joy, and meant a challah bread run this morning to Trader Joe's. And I'm busy with some speaking things. So I'll be speaking to an AME church tomorrow, which is a huge honor given all the social justice issues. That they would choose me is, to me, just a huge heart moment for me. Mm-hmm. And it's not a brag moment. That's just a thank you for thinking I could be the one who could speak into grief for you, and help you speak to the grief. So yeah, other than that, we also, our new oodle is still coughing. So if any of you hear something hacking like it's going to die, that's not
Doug, right?
That's Doug, D-U-G, Doug.
Doug the dog.
Doug the dog, the oodle, who has a collapsing trachea. So it's been busy, and tomorrow's busy. And then after 12 o'clock tomorrow, it's a little less busy. And then we get happy hour with our staff tomorrow evening. Online, of course, because
online, yeah.
COVID.
Yeah.
How about your week?
I went on a date with my grandson. That was really good. And then, sort of like you, I just want to say, when someone, in this case, it was a school, there was some of the students had witnessed a car accident, and we'll leave it at that. And they called me in, and just like you, I'm like, thank you for trusting me to speak with your students, and speak with the staff,
hold them in.
That's right, and hold their hearts.
Yeah.
And I just really appreciated it. I don't call myself a counselor. I'm a grief coach, and I just sort of take them through, and when it's appropriate, I pass them on. So I just want to say that meant a lot to me. If it's okay with you, Jill, I want to share something that was on Facebook. And by the way, to everybody, I have permission from that person to share. And I don't want to give away a lot of information. Just this woman, her mother, who was also a friend of mine, died very quickly. It was 16 days from the coma to death.
Wow.
And how it is. So I just want to read you a little bit of what she wrote. This year, it is hard to put words to this year. It's been the hardest year of my now 42 years. And it is, of course, my mother's death. But it's also the context in which her death occurred in the middle of the darkest, longest winter of the global pandemic. The context of how devastating this year has been on all levels, where I am feeling this acutely as a mother, because she's also a mom, having just lost her mother in the pandemic. And so she says, one of my mom's greatest gifts was celebrating life at all time. She was a supreme gift giver. It was her love language. And she really made every special occasion extra special. She took any excuse to celebrate And in the wake of her loss, we tried to figure out how to do this without her, and we are trying. By the way, her urn has fake nose and glasses on it.
Oh, very cool.
So she's talking about her birthday and what she did. But first she said, grief has been feeling heavy, like a lead coat you wear when you get x-rays, but over my whole body. I'm not sharing this because I'm asking it to be different. She says, I know it's impermanent. I know I won't wear this exact coat forever. And she goes on, I'm sharing because it's my experience of right now. It really felt really freaking heavy. And one day with my pandemic long hair, I decided the one thing I could do was chop off some hair to feel lighter. It was a weight I could release. So that was my gift to myself on my birthday. She donated 19 inches. 9 inches of hair. The vaccine also took some weight loss. So she got her vaccine shot, her second one, and she donated hair. Perhaps more than ever, this is a rebirth day. I am rebirthing myself right now. I have no idea what this looks like or where it's going, but all I know is this is a new chapter of life, and all I can really do is move through it, keep showing up, apprenticing myself to grief, apprenticing myself to the life bursting forth in spring, to this moment. I have no idea what is before me, but I am still here, which is perhaps the most of what I can say about this year. I'm still here. I made it through this year. I'm here. I have goosebumps. I'm thinking about the daughter whose mom has died and how she's rebirthing herself this year.
And giving back in her mom's memory.
And giving back. She's giving back her hair. She's apprenticing herself in grief. Really, what a beautiful way of putting forth to yourself. She's staying present in her grief and lowered her expectations about what's supposed to come. And she's taking it in, letting it out. I often say, and I'm known for saying, how does it get any better than this? In a crappy time, how does it get better? I mean, that's
it gets better by giving back, which is what she did.
She did. And by staying present.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't say, what if, throwing her backwards. She goes, I'm here. I'm taking it a step at a time. I'm apprenticing. I've never had her mama. This was said to me. Have you ever had a mother die before? You just do the best you can.
You learn. So that you can pass on the learning to the next person, which is what she's doing.
That's exactly. And what a gift for her
saying
own
her
daughter.
mom's name.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They have a little altar set up for her mom. I got to have a picture of that to use in future presentations. So.
Oh, Joan McEldowney Pitkin.
Oh, I did. That's my cousin. And her mom, I did say that. Have you ever had a mother die before? She, Aunt Ruth Ann thought of me as like an extra daughter. And that was her mom. And Joni, I'm hugging you now. Because, yeah.
I just did a short video on how to do a grief hug. because people don't know how to do those, and they don't know that with grief we hug on, hang on, hold tight, and now with immunizations we can. And then we do the best we can, because if we've never lost a mom before,
Right.
we look to those who've lost the moms.
That's
and
right.
we learn from them, and then we make that part of us and we pass it on to the next person, which is what that 42-year-old has now done.
Exactly. I actually, so I was 41 going on 42, I think, something like that. And my other friends were just a couple of years older than me. Another one, her mom had died when she was 27. So we had, for Mother's Day, I think we all got together. We were divas without moms, and we had a brunch. We called ourselves that, because let's call it for what it is. And how do you celebrate? It's sort of odd, but how do you celebrate you're without that parent? There are no greeting cards for that.
There are a few now, but there's only a few. And that's because most people just sort of skirt it. And those who have moms say, I don't even want to think about losing my mom. Even if they didn't get along with mom, they don't want to think about losing mom. Ever. And my poor kids, they've lost several moms. So they're pretty good at that stuff now. And what they've learned is you hold on to each other and you remember what that mom meant to you and the lessons she taught you. And then you share them.
So my aunt, she was constantly knitting. She could knit. She had a zest for life and makeup. Let me just say that. A zest for life, makeup. Her face, perfect. Her hair, perfect. And she tells stories. Oh, today's her birthday. I'll have a martini and remember. Thank you, Joanne. I totally forget when people's birthdays are. So, but here's to you, Aunt Ruth Ann.
Right, because we should remember them and celebrate them.
That's right. That's right. But, if anybody listening could take just a moment of whomever died, not just moms, because, Mother's Day is next week, not this coming, but the following weekend. Take just a moment to who are those moms in your life. And I want to say one more thing. A friend said to me, because she didn't have a great relationship, her mom's still alive. She and her therapist came up with this. The therapist said, can Deb, since Deb does all these other things, can Deb be your good enough mom? So she asked me one time, she goes, will you be my good enough mom? She's in her 40s. And I said, sure. Well, that means I'm a gem, GEM.
Right?
So for all of you out there listening, just for a moment, take a breath in and think about those good enough moms, those other moms in your life, whether they're still living or they're dead, whatever way. Just take a moment if you want to put it in the chat box and say, oh my gosh. I had another mom named Patty. She lived till she was 104. And let me just decline that. She lived till she was almost 104. And she loved doting on me in some ways. She liked a lot of attention herself, but we would share coffee. We'd just go there. She'd make me some coffee. Wasn't necessarily great coffee, but she loved it. And we would talk. And she had special coffee cups. And we would have those moments of just being together. So, yeah.
I have a dear friend in Australia who lost her mom very young. And both parents died in accidents. So no warning whatsoever. And mom died before dad by 10 years. So there was, a lot there. And as she's unpacked the grief and she's worked it through, she's been unpacking the teacups her mom left her. And they're beautiful. I mean, they are just stunning English teacups, and everyone is unique. And so for, I think, close to a month or 2 months around the anniversary, every day there was a new teacup that she was drinking tea from.
Oh.
And she's a coffee drinker, but every day she had the newest teacup. And it just brought back mom. And it was a celebration of mom instead of a sadness about mom, which for her was a new experience because she had really shied away from the grief. And she dove right in with the teacups, which was just an incredible kind of way to share the loss and the memories. Right?
Right. I mean,
and she could laugh about it too, because she never drinks tea.
She put coffee in the teacups, though, right?
I think she actually put tea in them, but
wow.
I think there's some kind of thing in if you're British or Australian that you can't put coffee in the teacups. So
probably not.
Yeah, no, it's not okay.
I've told this story before. I don't mind saying it again. My mom died. It was in March, and then came Mother's Day. What else?
Mother's Day is a sabotage.
It's
complete sabotage.
Yes. And I don't know about the rest of the people, but what I did was, as I was in Target, and I remember coming up to the display and starting to sob.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And, and I'm like, and we didn't wear masks then. So I'm telling, other people are saying, oh, you're okay? Because I kept wiping my face and stuff. And I said, allergies. I just left it at that.
Oh, I'm fine. Thanks. Cry my eyes out. It's all good.
Right.
Smile.
So what I did is, it was going to be the first year that I had to still buy Mother's Day cards. And my mother's and my relationship, contentious a lot of the time, and yet loving. I would always get her funny ones because that was the safest. So I bought, since I was crying, I mean, like, what do I do? Oh, I decided on the spot to buy 4 funny, sarcastic cards. And I wrote inside, Mom's dead. I had to send this to someone. So I sent them to my 2 aunts. I sent one to my brother, and I sent one to a cousin of my mom's. And it was, you have that momentum going, and you don't know what to do when it stops. You have that momentum. Oh, this is what I do every year. This is what I do every year. This is what I do. And when it stops abruptly, what do you do?
The first year that my mom had lost her dad, my dad, and was a widow on Mother's Day, it's like, now what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Because he was always, that was birthday and Mother's Day, and Valentine's Day, always the cards. And always the orchid. Remember the orchid corsages, right?
Yes.
Anyone over the age of 30 or 35 remembers orchid corsages. And they used to be very expensive. They now are sort of dime a dozen, but every year. And so I went running down to the market the night before Mother's Day, and I got a super mushy Mother's Day card. And then I got the orchid. And the next morning before church, I put the orchid on her. And I said, I'm certain that this is what he would want. So we're going to do Mother's Day Dad's way still. And I am quite certain I'll be on my way down to buy maybe an orchid plant this year, because she's not really up to going to church anymore. But we will have the orchids, because you got to remember those things.
Yeah. And just because someone dies doesn't mean you still can't do that stuff.
And now I laugh when I bring them in. I'm like, he's been gone now for a decade and a half, but he's still buying orchids, and he's an expensive act to follow. This is kind of he set me up moment.
Right.
sort of a
Right.
thing, right?
Right.
Right. So now I get to buy Mother's Day cards for my daughter who's got our grandchildren. But the first year she was a mom was right after we had lost my second wife, and we'd lost my first wife, and she'd lost her birth mom. So she had a lot of moms who were not there to wish her her first happy Mother's Day. So she had a really crowded card. And it was a super snarky one, but super sweet. And I said all the things because, that's what you do. And there was humor in our family and still is. And so we can still laugh about those things, right?
This is a lot of people write about food and memories. And so you think about what can you eat that's in memory of?
Right. Not Jell-O salad. Oh my God.
Let's just say that there are some things that died with you, and I'm okay with that.
3-bean salad too. That's going to go right out the door. That will not be a feature at the repast. Guaranteed.
We all have our things.
There's a woman who lost, she's a chef, and she was very sick for a very long time. And she was, because she was female, it became, well, you must be anorexic. Turns out she had Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a horrific set of syndromes. I have several clients who have it. It takes forever to get diagnosed. And a lot of times women are told it's all in your head, when in fact, it's all in your entire body. And for her, it hit her gut. And so she is a chef who now has to eat entirely through TPN. She cannot eat. She has not eaten in probably 5 years. And so she's now done some work about what that last meal was like with her family and how she savored it, even though she knew she would be in excruciating pain. And now she celebrates the memory of the food she loved to eat and the food she loves to make still. And she's put together a whole cookbook and a video series of her making the food from her memory of the food and the joy it brings to others. So she took her loss and turned it into something she could share with others, which is the best way. Really, how do you deal with not being able to ever eat again? She shares her joy of what she liked to do with food.
For our listening audience, by the way, TPN stands for Total Parenteral Nutrition. And that means you get it through a PICC line.
A central line of some sort.
A central line that goes into the body. It goes into your veins. It doesn't even go into your stomach. Right. That would be some G-tube. And I know somebody who no longer can eat. They do have a tube going into their stomach. And I've also known other people with TPN, very, very, very thin. In fact, well, that's a story for another time. When people don't realize at any point you might not be able to eat, name your favorite food. And how do you celebrate that you cannot share a meal with your family? You can't eat those things, but you can cook those things. Sometimes if you can't eat something, you can have a picture of it and put it on your dish, like plastic food like they have for the kids. You can do something. I think it comes down to, Jill, how creative can you get with your grief?
Right. How do you recognize what you're grieving? Because it's not always a loss.
Right.
And how do you keep it to a point where it doesn't bring you down and it doesn't, so you have some grace with what you're doing with it, and you can still have a laugh when it comes to it, because otherwise it just sits there. It's that rock around your neck. And there should be some laughter available. And that particular author, she gets to laugh and she gets to cook for her family and watch them eat, but she's fine with the not eating because she's come to terms with it.
sort of like what my friend wrote, how she was apprenticing grief. That's changing it from that heavy vest. Oh, what many of us who have been to the dentist, I'm hoping most of us, when you get x-rays and they put that lead vest on you so you don't get thyroid cancer and you don't get other cancer, right? So they put that on you, and that's a weight. How can you take that weight and transform it? How can you take that weight? I mean, that makes it hard to breathe, and just lift it up emotionally a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's part of your own transmutation, transforming of death, experiencing a death, and then living.
And giving yourself permission to live and to find joy.
And you know, that's the key, Jill. Giving yourself permission to take that off. You don't have to wear it all the time.
Right. And it doesn't have to be a death. It can be any kind of loss.
Any kind of, yes, any kind of loss.
I have a very dear friend who is an amazing athlete, and in fact is an Ironman, and has actually done the entire Ironman, but now has injuries from way back when, and has just struggled like crazy, had multiple surgeries, has more coming. And in the middle of all that, she spent hours on end, and she's at opening day of Disney today because she is celebrating where she finds joy.
That's right.
And she's probably going to be in some pain tomorrow because of it, but she's got her happy place, literally her happy place to go back to. And she is there. And I am waiting for all the pictures today because I know behind some of those smiles, there's going to be some hurt, but she's not going to let it be there because it's going to be that she got to be there again. And the park is open and the sun is out, and boy, is it out. It's 95 today.
Where she is.
Where we both are. It was
really?
60 degrees 3 days ago, and now it's 95. Yeah. We are in a heat wave. But she's got her happy place.
She's got her happy place. You know, when I was 38, I had a full-blown nut allergy, peanut allergy, any kind of nuts. Coconut's okay, but everything else is off the table. And every once in a while, when I'm even thinking about it now. Remember payday bars? Yes. Caramel and nougat inside, wrapped in peanuts with more caramel drizzle.
They're off my list.
Yeah, they're off mine. But I remember that crunch, that taste, that salt, that texture. I remember all of it. And sometimes I just say, in my mind, I'm going to eat a payday bar. And no hives, nothing bad comes out of it. But I just want to say, look it. Memories are everything. And maybe because I'm getting my Medicare pretty soon, I'll tell you that what?
Lucky.
And so I take that time to, what do I remember? And I savor my memories. It doesn't put me into depression. I don't go, I can't eat half the stuff I used to. Here you go.
But we can still enjoy it.
That's right.
What we've got, we do have, and how we substitute for it. Right?
We do. Well, Jill, I know we're both on a tight schedule today, and it's time to sign off, isn't it?
Let's make sure that next week everyone's back here so we can talk about, let's get ready for Mother's Day. Because Mother's Day is like the sabotage holiday. It's not even a holiday, right? It is not a holiday. It's a Hallmark created functioning. I don't know. I think it goes back to early 1900, but now it is the stores are all throwing up in pink and purple and white, and flowers have doubled in price. And cards are sort of crazy. And So let's get ready for that, because it's got a lot of really big overlay stuff for folks who have lost moms, or didn't get the good enough mom, or didn't know mom, or were raised by grandma and they want to recognize grandma, but mom is still around. All the things that go on with Mother's Day. Let's get ready for it, so so people can enjoy it for the day that it is, or give themselves permission to ignore it completely. Right? So next week we'll do Mother's Day prep, and in June we'll do Father's Day prep, because that's coming up right behind it.
Right.
All right. I will see you at AATH members. I will see you online in less than half an hour, where we will talk about all things intimacy loss with a sense of humor. Because, chill. All right. Okay. Bye, guys. See you next week.
Bye everyone.